This is Nightline and I'm Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan. The headlines. Madani government is doing its best to help people cope with rising prices of goods, says PM. And women from the Pulau Ketam fire who was reported missing found dead. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. The body of a woman from the Pulau Ketam fire who was reported missing has been found. Her remains were discovered at the site of one of the raised houses at around 10 p.m. The 49-year-old woman was believed to have been trapped inside one of the houses when the fire caught up on Friday afternoon. Earlier, Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Director Wan Mat Razali Wan Ismail said firemen reached the scene 5 minutes after receiving an emergency call at 12:45 p.m. The fire had destroyed about 90% of the houses and 3 boats before it was put out by firemen from the Port Klang, Kota Raja and Andala stations and the Pulau Ketam Volunteer Firefighting Squad. The government is doing its best to help the people cope with rising prices of essential goods. Acknowledging that problems exist, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that he asked Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Acting Minister Datuk Armizan Muhammad Ali and Deputy Minister Datuk Fuzia Saleh to pay attention to the matter.
Memang ada masalah. Saya akui masalah harga barang dan juga keperluan. Dan kita lihat beberapa negara sudah ada keresahan sosial yang besar kerana sekatan ekspor beras, peningkatan cukai ekspor bawang umpamanya, itu semua memberikan kesan kepada ekonomi dan juga barang-barang. Tapi kita cuba tangani.
Anwar said this to the media after launching Tabung Haji's 60th anniversary celebration at Menara TH on Friday. He added that Deputy Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has also been asked to focus on the issue in the National Action Council on Cost of Living Committee meeting. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said there is no immediate urgency for a cabinet reshuffle. He stressed that this is because there is only one vacant position that needs to be filled following the passing of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub.
Tapi tak mendesak sangat sebab yang kosong satu dan ini sedang saya dah minta Menteri Amizan dengan Fuzia ada untuk memberikan perhatian.
The media previously reported the possibility of a cabinet reshuffle in the near future, with several ministers predicted to be dropped, and then the alleged reshuffle will only take place after the Pelangai state by-election on October 7th.
Meanwhile, Anwar also confirmed that he had an audience with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa bin Shah at the Istana Negara on Friday. However, he made it clear that the discussion did not touch on the topic of a cabinet reshuffle.
No, this is a normal pre-cap or post-cabinet meeting. Noktah, period.
In an Istana Negara social media post on Friday, Al-Sultan Abdullah granted an audience to the Prime Minister for a pre-cabinet meeting. Such meetings are part of the routine for the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, involving discussions and exchange of views with the Prime Minister on government affairs and related matters.
At a separate function, Anwar revealed that the government will begin discussions on the handing back of part of Lembaga Tabung Haji TH assets, which were transferred to a special purpose vehicle SPV owned by the Finance Ministry MOF in 2018. The Prime Minister said this consideration was made after preliminary reports showed that TH was now well managed with continued financial recovery and integrity-driven management by the new leadership of the National Hajj Management Institution.
Mungkin diambil secara peringkat untuk memastikan pulangan itu agak baik. Tapi dengan sendirinya dia menjawab segala tuamahan dan fitnah sebelum ini bertahun-tahun ya. Berbakul-bakul fitnah mengatakan ini dijual. Tak ada yang dijual, dia masih dikekal.
Anwar, who is also finance minister, said as long as he was given the mandate to manage the country, he would not compromise on any attempts to damage national agencies or state-owned companies by those out to make profits. In 2019, then minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Sri Mujahid Yusof Rawat, said the move to transfer the assets totaling 19.9 billion ringgit to the SPV had successfully closed holes due to the disparity between the assets and liabilities left by the previous administration.
This week on Money Matters, American companies are looking to invest in Malaysia. What opportunities will they have? To remain competitive, how are American firms working with Malaysian businesses? And what support do American businesses need in the Mandani economic framework? Join us with AmCham Chairman Anthony Lee this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
Moving on, the AttorneyGenerals Chambers AGC has filed an appeal against Perikatan National Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin's discharge on 4 power abuse charges by the High Court in August. In its petition filed on Tuesday, the AGC presented 13 reasons why the High Court should not have discharged the former Prime Minister.
In its petition of appeal, the prosecution said the judge erred in law and facts for arbitrarily using his inherent powers as the charges had been framed in accordance with the law. It added the judge was also wrong to use his powers to prematurely revoke the charges, given that the prosecution had yet to produce evidence by calling witnesses and tendering documents. The prosecution stressed that the judge was wrong to order that Muhyiddin, who is also the Bersatu president, be acquitted without considering the evidence it intended to submit during trial. The judge also did not give the prosecution the opportunity to amend the charges if it failed to state clearly how Muhyiddin used his position as Prime Minister to commit the offences. Further, the prosecution also said that the judge was also wrong to state that the prosecution's failure to provide details of the charges had confused Muhyiddin, since that was a matter to be determined at the end of the trial after evaluating all evidence. 76-year-old Muhyiddin was accused of abusing his position as the then Prime Minister and Bersatu President to obtain 232.5 million ringgit for Bersatu between February 8th and August 20th, 2021. On August 15th, the High Court acquitted and discharged the Pagoh MP, and the prosecution filed a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal on the same day. The Court of Appeal has fixed February 28th and 29th next year to hear the challenge. Meanwhile, Muhyiddin is still facing 3 more charges of money laundering amounting to 200 million ringgit related to the Jana Wibawa project.
In the meantime, the application for an Interpol Red Notice for 2 individuals, including Datuk Sri Muhammad Adlan Berhan, who is the son-in-law of Muhyiddin, is in the process of being completed. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Datuk Sri Ayub Khan Maidin Piche, said there are several technical issues that are currently being updated by the MACC.
Ada lagi beberapa perkara teknikal yang kita sedang tunggu daripada SPRM. Ini berhubung dengan permohonan melalui Interpol Red Notice. So once apabila kita dapat lengkap betul-betul itu, kita akan buat permohonan resmi kepada Interpol.
In August, MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azambaki was reported to have said that Adlan, aged 48, along with 69-year-old Mansur Saad, were required to appear before the Commission for questioning over alleged corruption and embezzlement in the registration, recruitment and biometric storage of foreign workers in a ministry. A previous check with the Immigration Department found that the 2 individuals left Malaysia on May 17th and 21st with no record of them re-entering the country.
Now, the government plans to cooperate with private companies to fund the opening of paddy fields in Sabah and Sarawak in order to increase the production of local white rice. Agriculture and Food Security Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Sabu said the government has been conducting financial research through discussions with Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim.
Sebab kita bimbanglah sekarang angin El Nino dan sebagainya, kalau melanda 4 negeri tempat pengeluar padi ini, iaitu Kelantan, Kedah, Terengganu, walaupun Perlis itu kecil, tapi sebahagian besar tanahnya ialah untuk padi. Maka kita akan hadapi masalah. Penyediaan itu mesti kita buat di Sabah dan Sarawak kerana kadang-kadang banjir di sini, Sabah dan Sarawak tidak banjir.
Mohammed also said that the plan encompasses 20,234 hectares in Sabah, which has the potential to be developed as a large-scale rice field. However, substantial funding is required to upgrade the irrigation system in the area first. He added that the ministry aims to produce rice for Sabah alone to be able to cover up to 40% of local consumption, with the first harvest expected in the next 3 or 4 years. When asked about the plan to open paddy fields in Sarawak, the minister did not mention in detail on the amount of land involved, but it was clear that it must be greater than in Sabah. Meanwhile, Mohammed said that he has held talks with representatives of the Indian government over the country's white rice export restrictions on Thursday to discuss the issue on a government-to-government basis.
The daily commute to school can get particularly mundane for children, especially when there are traffic jams. But for kids in a fishing village in Tanjung Karang, the journey to school is exciting and comes with a great view. FMT's Danish Rajareza and Tan Ching Tung have the report.
Like many students across the country, kids in this Selangor village crawl out of their beds at the crack of dawn to get ready for school. But unlike other kids, there is one more thing they need to bring with them to school: a life jacket. For 26 children from Kampung Bagan Sungai Kajang, the daily commute to school involves taking a boat across the river. Residents of the fishing village in Tanjung Karang have been sending their children to school on boats since the 1970s.
Taking the boat is very fast. It only takes a few minutes. If I leave with the students at 7 a.m., I'll be back in just a little while. And then I can go peel shrimps at 7:30 a.m. until 11 a.m. or noon when I need to get the students back from school.
Parents prefer to send their kids to school by boat, as driving could take nearly half an hour. Plus, not all the villagers own a vehicle. Hock Eng, the designated school boat captain, has been ferrying kids to school since 1995.
I didn't impose a fee on the rides until 2006. It's 20 ringgit per month. Just this month, they started paying me 40 ringgit per month because there has been a dwindling number of students.
The boat ride across the river lasts only 2 minutes, but Hock Eng goes the extra mile, walking the children, aged 5 to 12, to the school. And it is an adorable sight. They go through the back of a seafood restaurant, across a street, and over a small bridge before finally arriving at the entrance of the school. Rain is one of the few things that disrupts this routine. On a rainy day, parents will need to find someone who owns a car and ask them for a ride. For those who are unable to find a ride, they will have to wait for the rain to subside before hopping on Hock Eng's boat.
If it rains, you need to find someone who's driving. There will always be people who are driving their kids to school. So we just ask them for a ride. If there really isn't anyone who can help us, we will wait for the rain to stop and take the boat.
The idea of hitching a ride to school isn't exactly new for parents either.
This practice of sending students across the river has been going on since the school was built. It's just that back then times were a little tough. There wasn't a designated school boat to send the children to school. Back then, after they got ready for school, students would wait by the docks for fishermen who were going to work and ask for a ride. After they were done with school, they would do the same thing.
As for the students themselves, the journey to school is an adventure.
Taking the boat gets me to school very fast. I'm very happy.
6-year-old Ti Hui Yi shared her cousin's enthusiasm for the boat rides.
It's very cooling to take the boat. I like it very much.
Getting up at dawn, donning life jackets, and taking a boat to school is an experience and a bond the children of Kampung Bagan Sungai Kajang will share and cherish forever. Danish Rajareza and Tan Ching Tung for FMT Nightline.
57 killed in 2 separate bomb blasts. These and more when Nightline returns. to the foreign front. House Republicans kicked off their first impeachment inquiry hearing on Thursday, laying out the allegations they will pursue against Joe Biden, although expert witnesses called by Republicans cautioned that there was not yet enough proof for the accusation. The U.S. president was alleged to have engaged in improper business dealings that benefited him. However, none of that evidence has shown that Biden received any financial benefit from the business dealings. But Republicans at Thursday's hearing claimed what they have found so far has given them the justification to launch their impeachment inquiry. The impeachment inquiry is expected to span weeks, and experts said it is too early to tell if congressional investigators will seek an impeachment vote in the full House of Representatives after holding hearings. At least 57 people were killed and more than 50 injured on Friday in two separate attacks on religious gatherings in Pakistan. According to Deputy Inspector General of Police Munir Ahmad, the blast took place near a mosque in Balochistan province, where people were gathering for a procession to mark Prophet Muhammad's birthday. The bomber detonated himself near the vehicle of the Deputy Superintendent of Police in an apparent suicide attack. Meanwhile, at least 5 people have been killed in another bomb blast at a mosque in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Rescue officials said there were between 30 and 40 people inside the mosque offering the congressional Friday prayers when the explosion happened. No group has claimed responsibility for the blast, which comes amid a surge in attacks claimed by militant groups in the west of the country. A gunman in the Dutch city of Rotterdam unleashed a wave of violence on Thursday, killing a 14-year-old girl, her mother and a university teacher. Police said the 32-year-old suspect, who was dressed in combat gear and a bulletproof vest, fatally shot a 39-year-old woman who lived in his neighborhood, as well as her daughter. After setting the woman's house on fire, the gunman went to the university hospital, Erasmus Medical Center, where he entered a classroom and shot dead a 46-year-old teacher before starting another blaze in the facility. He was arrested near the hospital and was thought to have possessed only one firearm with no indication of accomplices. His motive remains unknown. However, police believe that the woman and her daughter were close neighbors of the suspect, suggesting they were targeted attacks. New Zealand on Friday said the weather pattern El Niño had arrived and was expected to lead to high winds, extreme temperature changes and variable rainfall over the coming 3 months. According to National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research, warmer temperatures are likely in the east of both the country's main islands. Rainfall is most likely to be below normal in the north and east of the North Island and above normal in the west of the South Island. Australia, in the meantime, declared El Niño had arrived the country 10 days ago, with it already experiencing unseasonal heat that led to a total fire ban in Sydney. Malaysia bags 3 more medals. Action from Hangzhou when we come back. At the 2022 Hangzhou Asian Games, Malaysia bagged 3 more medals on Friday for a total of 11. The only silver medal came from the sepak takraw event, while track cycling and gymnastics contributed 2 bronze medals.
National sepak takraw player Azlan Alias has apologized for his team's tame defeat to world champions Thailand in the men's team final. Ahmad Jaiz Baharun's side lost 2-0 to the Thais to retain their silver medal won at the 2018 edition. The victory marked Thailand's 7th straight gold medal in the event since the 1998 Bangkok Games. In the track cycling event, Tokyo Olympian sprinter Muhammad Shafir Daus closed his Asian Games campaign with a 2nd bronze medal on the final day. Shah came in 3rd in the Kirin final behind South Korean Kang Seo-jun, while Jo Yu brought joy to the hosts by taking the gold. In the gymnastics event, 2 perfect landings earned Muhammad Sharul Aimi Kamaruhisam 14.466 points, which saw him beat Olympic champion Shin Jae-hwan of South Korea for 3rd placing. The last time Malaysia won an artistic gymnastic medal was through Eun Chu Wai when he won silver in the vault event at the 2006 Doha Asian Games. In the squash event, the AS Sivasangari led Malaysia cruised into the women's team final after overcoming South Korea 2-0. National champion Ira Azman started the ball rolling when she defeated Korea's Yoon Hwa-young 11-4, 11-1, 11-8 in the first match of the semi-final tie. Sivasangari sealed Malaysia's 2nd point following an 11-4, 11-4, 11-5 victory over Lee Ji-hyun. The Malaysian girls will face Hong Kong in the battle for the gold medal on Saturday.
Moving on to cycling, the 2023 Le Tour de Langkawi, after 3 near misses, human-powered health sprinter Sasha Wias finally clinched a much-needed victory in the penultimate stage from Muar Johor to Seremban 2 in Negeri Sembilan on Friday.
Wias timed his sprint to perfection in the final straight, which featured a slight incline, hitting the finish line in 2 hours, 31 minutes and 45 seconds. Tudor Pro cycling team's Arvid de Klein, who has already won 2 stages in the Tour this year, settled for 2nd, while Astana Kazakhstan Gleb Syriza completed the podium. De Klein strengthened his grip on the orange jersey as the sprint king after taking maximum points at the first 2 intermediate sprints at Mumbai and Chang. Terengganu Polygon cycling team's Jambaljam Sainbaya, who was again in the breakaway on Friday, took the 3rd sprint in Linggi. Astana's Vadim Protsky continues to take charge of the white jersey as the leader of the Asian leaders classification with a 2.04 seconds advantage over 2nd place Jambaljam. EF Education Easy Post Simon Carr, who safely crossed the line 29th on Friday in the same group as Wias, continues to lead the general classification with a 49 seconds advantage over teammate Jefferson Alexander Cepeda. Simon Pello of Tudor Pro held the polka dot jersey as the leader of the mountains classification on 32 points. The 8th and final stage on Saturday will start in Shah Alam and finish in Kuala Lumpur city centre, covering a distance of 156.5 kilometres.
When we return, attempt to smuggle 2 million ringgit worth of drugs foiled. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Stray dogs are a challenge for nearly every community across the country. Despite the best efforts of animal shelters and rescuers, Many strays live a miserable life, having to fend for themselves on the streets. Now, Negeri Sembilan is taking a proactive step to put an end to the stray dog problem: mandatory neutering for pets. Is this a way forward? FMT's Natasha Buse and Tan Ching Tung have the report.
Who doesn't love puppies? They're friendly, playful, and of course, simply adorable. It's no surprise that many people love having a puppy. But there are many people who want a pet but aren't ready or don't want the responsibility of looking after one. The end result for these poor canines is abandonment and life as a stray. Stray dogs are a perennial problem in the country, despite the establishment of more shelters and kind-hearted animal rescue organizations. Is there a way to resolve the problem? Negeri Sembilan appears to be taking a step towards a permanent solution. The state now requires dog owners to neuter their pets before applying for ownership licenses. Lawyers for animal rights spokesman Rajesh Nagarajan says all states should follow Negeri Sembilan's lead.
Generally speaking, all dogs should be neutered to ensure that they do not reproduce, because as you know, in Malaysia we have a huge stray dog problem.
The neutering exercise should not be limited to dogs, says Rajesh.
And you know, every stray dog, every stray cat out there, they suffer a horrible life. They don't have enough food, they get disease, they get knocked over by cars. It's a horrible life, and they all die prematurely. You know, a normal dog's or a cat's lifespan can be anything from 10 to 15 years. But a stray dog or a stray cat, they'll be lucky to live for 5 years.
But can such an ambitious plan be carried out? Rajesh believes it's all down to enforcement.
Enforcement officers will actually have to go from house to house and check on the license of the dogs. So this will make sure that dog owners will have no choice but to neuter the dogs. It's a painless process.
While some may think neutering pets is cruel, Selangor SPCA General Manager Kelvin Chia believes it is actually more humane.
From my experience, stray population control through the capture and kill method is very expensive and inhumane, not to mention highly ineffective as well. Otherwise, with so many years of stray catching, we would have already wiped out the strays by now. But in reality, we are not even close.
With most shelters packed to the brim, he says there are many benefits to neutering.
Humane and effective population control for one, less risk of animals roaming, lower risk of health issues, less defensive, territorial, and the list goes on.
It's clear that tackling the stray population isn't just about keeping the streets clear. It's about ensuring each and every animal has a chance at a healthier, happier life. Natasha Buse and Tan Ching Tung, FMT for Nightline.
The Royal Malaysian Customs Department has foiled an attempt to smuggle 61 kilograms of drugs with an estimated value of about 2 million ringgit at the KLIA Air Cargo Terminal Free Trade Zone in Sepang. The drugs, which were discovered on September 5th, were concealed in packages declared as vehicle spare parts.
Central Zone Customs Department Enforcement Operations Director Wong Poon Sian said a total of 60 green packages containing methamphetamine were found during the inspection. In a statement, Wong stated that there were writings such as refined Chinese tea and several other Mandarin writings on the said packages which contained crystal powder. The modus operandi used was by declaring the packages as containing vehicle spare parts and hiding the drugs in plastic tea bags in an effort to dodge the authorities. Wong also said that preliminary investigations found the packages were addressed to a recipient in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. Further investigations are underway to track down the suspects involved. The case is being investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act, which provides for the death penalty or life imprisonment and whipping not less than 15 strokes upon conviction.
Nightline draws to a close this time around. Let's take a look as Sekolah Kebangsaan Bandar Baru Seri Damansara organised a Maulidul Rasul celebration at a hall after its roofs collapsed due to recent storm. The incident did not dampen the spirit of more than 470 students and teachers to take part in the celebration. I'm Muhammad Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.